Hey everyone, it's Benny and Sal for Absolutely Marvel and DC. We have had the fortunate ability to watch Zack Snyder's Justice League at the exact same time as everyone else. So if you're in that organization that could send it to us early, that would have been great. But hey, we have emails, we can send it.
Yeah, that would have been nice. I'm seeing people, I'm like, you don't even talk about comic books, and you're watching the Snyder Cut? I would have loved to have had that time.
Yeah, well, not only that,
4 hours.
I didn't even know that it came out Thursday. Everyone's tweeting about it, and I'm just sitting here like, wow, WB hates us. Because everyone got it early. This guy doesn't even have a channel, and he's watching the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, this dude's watching on his Instagram like, I can't believe they sent it to me, you guys. It's baffling. You got a friggin' hoodie.
I've been on the Snyder Cut movement, and I don't like in terms of like on its board ever since they announced it getting. So let's talk about that real quick, just so that people know what they're getting into. I have been a Snyder Cut fan since the original. I did argue early on that I just wanted the arguments to stop because I didn't think they'd have any route of doing it. But the moment they announced a streaming service, I was in the argument of just put it there.
Yeah,
I never foresee it going to a theater, but at least just put it on a streaming service. Because as an ex-art major, give the guy a chance to finish his artistic vision. That was always my argument. Good or bad, let him finish what he started because that was his thing. So
if it's already done, there's no reason not to. Even from a business standpoint, it's money on the table.
Yeah,
just
exactly. And that was my argument. The moment with that HBO was like, we have a streaming service. I'm like, okay, now I'm fully on board with the release of Snyder Cut because you don't even lose money. Like, just do it.
Literally everything. Where's the Spawn cartoon? How about just put everything that you own or have access to, just dump it on that because you are going to need content.
Well, they're proving that.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, I've stripped that app bare at this point. But yeah, we got the Snyder Cut, and that at least filled 4 hours and 6 minutes or whatever.
Yep. But I will say, so, I mean, I have been on board with the Snyder Cut. I enjoyed Man of Steel. I enjoyed most of Batman v Superman. On the flip side, Sal has been kind of against the Snyderverse, I'd say, because you're not a fan of Man of Steel or Batman v Superman, right?
I am not. I'm not a fan of Snyder's vision for Superman. I did dig his Batman. I was like, you need to just make a Batman movie, dude.
Yes!
I'm not a fan of his Batman killing people, but I see that as more of like a Hollywood problem than a Zack Snyder problem. Like, literally every movie Batman has killed people. There's just no way around it. I understand. I mean, I
like how people try to argue, like Michael Keaton's didn't. I'm like, he dropped people off the roof.
Yeah, he killed the Joker.
That guy's not getting up.
Yeah, he grappled Joker to a gargoyle. Where do you think he was going? Like, it wasn't up, I'll tell you that. So yeah, no, I dig that. I also like his influence on Wonder Woman. Like, that first Wonder Woman, you can feel the like kind of Snyder influence on that movie. Obviously, Patty Jenkins directed it, and it's her movie, but it has that kind of feel. And I did always dig the Wonder Woman we saw in BVS and in JL.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, you're gonna get both points of view on this.
I think so. Yeah.
I was excited for the Zack Snyder Cut because at the end of the day, I was like, love it or hate it, it's not going to matter. It's finally going to exist. And we're going to be good. My concern was, and I'll say this before we get into the full discussion on it, was the moment they release this, we're now going to, the release the Snyder Cut movement isn't over. They're just going to move over to release the Snyderverse. I've already seen tweets of the 20 movies they want based on this movie alone.
Well, because you said it every time that it ever came up, you were like, this is going to set up movies. This is not going to be the movie that's going to give you everything you've ever wanted. And then you can say like, well, it was a good ride and I'm going to hang up my hat and my spurs and I'm going to move on. Like, no, this movie, and it does. Like, it's long and the short of it, the Snyder Cut does set up at least 4 other movies, including a Justice League 2.
Including Aquaman. It set up Aquaman, which did at least happen.
It did happen. We did get that movie. They do kind of like, you kind of watch it and you're like, I mean, they kind of answer that question, but all right. Like, I did, although my wife and I watched it, and Tiffany really dug the look of Vulko in this more than in the movie.
I agree with that. I liked his look into the longer hair. William Dafoe looking a little less crazy. William Dafoe.
Yeah.
I've seen that movie Lighthouse, which is like that black and white with him and
God.
You can't ever look at William Dafoe the same again now.
No.
Like, the moment he got on there, I'm like, oh, where's the crazy teeth and everything? Like,
that was the Lighthouse was a trip. Although
I put that on not knowing what I was getting into at all,
no,
Sal.
you need to know.
Everyone's like, it's a good movie. And I'm just like, okay.
Oh,
what
good
am
movie,
I?
okay.
What am I watching?
Yeah, that is not the same as just saying go watch a movie. Although tangentially connected, outside of the Battinson references, 4:3 aspect ratio, which is what we got with this movie.
Okay, let's start off with that then. Since we kind of set up our history with Snyderverse and how we enjoyed and just okay. Right off the bat, I'm going to say, because I was watching this with my wife, and my wife is not a superhero movie fan. She likes some of them, but she was a fan of the Snyderverse. She enjoyed Man of Steel, and she enjoyed Batman v Superman. She actually dislikes most MCU movies because of the formulaic family style.
Right.
So I watched it with her, and right at the beginning, we both come up to preserve the artist's creative vision going forth through it, and we both went, oh no.
When it pulled up, I was just like, is this for real? Like, is this really going to be 4:3? Why? Like, why?
I have a reason. I looked it up. Why he did that?
Because it's the same format as the service that he works for?
No.
You know, that social networking service that has 4:3 aspect ratio?
No, well, maybe, but the reason he's given out, and it actually made sense, 4:3 aspect ratio will give much more, like, it makes the characters and everyone look longer, which makes their stature more impressive.
Okay.
From a person who dabbles in filmmaking and things like that, I can see that point of view. I still would have preferred to not have black bars on my screen for 4 hours.
It was very distracting. No, as a film buff, as a fan of the medium, this for me was like 3D movies and curved TVs. It's propelling the technology or the format in the wrong direction. I was like,
yeah.
You want somebody to talk about something other than the movie. Fine.
In all honesty, though, based on what we know about Zack Snyder, if he could have gotten away with it, because I guarantee this is he probably brought it up and it got stopped. I guarantee this whole thing would have been black and white if he could have done it.
Oh yeah. All the promo images are black and white. This dude definitely wanted to put that in black and white, and it might have helped out a little bit with some of the CG. But I had no complaints, really, genuinely, about the CG. So I'll just say, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a new Snyder cut in the near future that was just black and like an Old Man Logan.
Zack Snyder cut, Noir edition.
Yeah. Yes. I fully expect that.
I might actually rewatch that. I might just have it on while I do something else, but I might actually rewatch a Noir version.
Yeah.
In widescreen. He'll mix it up. This one'll be in widescreen.
I would like to have seen this in widescreen. I would have loved to have seen this actually in film format as opposed to what this was. But yeah.
Moving on with it though, we'll talk about it piece by piece because he broke it into 5 chapters. I actually at first was like, oh my god, how pretentious can you be? But what I did notice was every chapter had a tonal shift, all within Zack Snyder's wheelhouse. But It actually made sense. It was all a tonal shift. Like, here's going to be a bunch of character development. Here's going to be the team coming together. Here's going to be and as we got into the 3rd chapter, I was like, oh, I see what he's going for, and I actually like it. I will say when he first said chapter 1, I was just like, oh god, what are you doing?
Completely. Yeah.
I also thought about this. This may have been originally in there to set up the 4 parts that he was doing.
Yes. Oh yeah, no question. No. Each chapter was going to be a part they were going to release, or at the very least that was kind of probably the plan, or that was the inception.
Yeah.
But I think that it was really a good idea to break it up into chapters because, one, no intermission. I remember them promising there was going to be an intermission. Instead, it was just chapter breaks.
Yeah.
So instead, we get these breaks, and it's because there are no 4-hour movies. There are, but they're art house flicks, or they're 30 years old. We're talking they don't release a 4-hour movie in the theaters from a mainstream studio about mainstream characters as a franchise. They just don't do that. So,
it's funny because even he has said that. He said it's a pipe dream that this would ever have gotten to the theaters, but because it's on streaming, I can do a 4-hour cut that I want to do. I love the people that are tweeting if they had just put this in theaters, they'd have a whole universe. And I'm like, you're right. No. And they never would have done that.
Yep. It was never going to happen. You were never going to get a 4-hour cut if Snyder was on the movie the whole time. And everything was fine.
He said early on they wanted it to be under 2 hours. So could you imagine, like, if he had cut this down to 2 hours, it would have been as disjointed and all over the place as the Joss Whedon cut.
I still feel like we're looking at a work print edition. Like he cleaned it up, he remastered it, and he obviously breaking it up into chapters made it flow better, and it created a different experience than the one that you normally have when you're bringing yourself into the theater. Like it's very different from I'm sitting down to watch a movie. This was like, I'm watching something else. And breaking it up into chapters, having the 4:3 aspect ratio, it created this new experience that was like, oh, it's something else. Okay, like I'll have to break my preconceived ideas about what I'm expecting by going in watching a movie. You know, it's like watching Raya the Last Dragon or something and being like, so I'm paying $30, but I'm just getting like another Disney movie that I'll be able to buy at Target for $10, right? Like it's not anything different. I'm not getting a new experience, not paying for anything. I'm not even getting the theater experience. I'm literally just paying extra money to get early access to a movie you were going to put out no matter what. Yeah. The Snyder Cut was just like, here's something different. I mean,
I don't buy into any of that Disney crap. Like, I get what you're saying. I don't. $30, whatever. If you get every other streaming service to do that, maybe I'll consider it. But you're literally going to release this in a month or two elsewhere. I'm not gonna. You cannot give me. I mean, even Black Widow, I probably won't do that for. I'll probably go to the theater. That'll be the one movie I go see in a year and a half at a theater,
right?
Instead of paying $30 to have early access. If I'm paying $30, I want the full experience. And you know, I didn't even think about that. He's created a new. Like, what if other movies did this? Yeah. This 4-hour chapter-based... Like, what if instead of Falcon and Winter Soldier being a weekly episodic thing, it was just a 9-hour movie?
Right.
And they're just like, enjoy. We're going to talk about that later. And
they just broke it up, like, by chapters and just said, like, this is the part where this happens. Like, that's cool. I really appreciated that. I still felt like, regardless of the window dressing and all and the experience, that it was a little long.
So first off, let's break it down to the chapters because I think that will just start.
Please,
The first hour, I won't lie, wanting to see this, Natalie kind of like being like, I don't care because anytime she doesn't know who directors are and who does what. She doesn't. Right. She just hears superhero movie and she assumes it's an MCU jokey fest. And the fact that Joss Whedon tried to make Justice League into that didn't exactly give her a preconceived notion that this was going to be different. No. So we got about an hour in, and every character had a 2-minute song and walked in slow-mo.
Yeah.
That first hour, we got done to go eat dinner. We're like, let's pause this. And we came back. We almost didn't come back. This review was going to be me going, I watched the first hour and wow.
Yeah. It was rough. It was a rough go. I remember I felt the same way. We were watching the movie. It was me and my wife and my friend Ben, and we just sat there and like after the first, like around the 30-minute mark, we're like,
like, what is happening?
Like, can we look? What are you doing? And it's because the other thing was like
everyone had a theme song.
Everybody had themes. Well, like everybody should have a theme song, or at the very least they should have like a theme. But you're right. Like we counted 5 vocal songs, like vocal instrumental, like orchestral moments, individuals. Like each person got, and we're like, okay. It doesn't have to be that epic. Like exactly. It's epic enough. Like let the movie breathe. Was Aquaman? Was his introduction? Yeah, he was. That was within the first hour. I missed the White Stripes.
What do you mean the white? Oh,
when Aquaman walks out onto the pier and he's got the whiskey and it's just like the waves are crashing on him and it's just like there was this instead of it being the White Stripes like it was in the Whedon cut. With this one, it was just this grand orchestral kind of like cinematic film theme, and I was like. Yeah, I mean, that's cool and all, but, like, it was kind of more badass for it to be, like, some drums and some guitar.
I agree. The way that they portray him in this movie, this whiskey-drinking Aquaman who grabs whole bottles, just chugs them down before leaping back into the ocean. Yeah. I agree, the rock roll. I also really disliked the random women doing the hymn to him.
Oh, my God.
I was like, what? When they first started, I was like, okay, cool, we're going to cut away. Like, you're going to think, oh, wow, they praise him like he's a god. No, we're getting the song.
Yeah, no. And close-ups. That moment I was like, okay. All right, guys. Especially because, like, we had 2 of those. Like, we had 2 introductions to Aquaman, which I was like, this is a work print. Like, this is just, there are no deleted scenes in the Snyder Cut. It's just every scene they shot was in this, plus stuff they also shot for this. Like, there is no excising. There's nothing on the cutting room floor because we got 2 introductions to Aquaman. We got Bruce Wayne meeting Aquaman, everybody being like, we love Aquaman. And then we got another introduction to Aquaman where he comes and he saves the fisherman, he drinks the whiskey, he goes out on the pier. I'm like, that's the introduction. That scene is the introduction to Aquaman. The Bruce Wayne scene, nah. Like, it's fun. We enjoyed it. They cut out the I hear you talk to fish. Okay, so that was Whedon's idea, huh?
Yeah.
I guess so.
I mean, if you look at the interviews, because I looked at a lot of the interviews of Zack Snyder's Cut to see what was taken out, anything Whedon shot, he didn't even use. It was gone.
That's right.
Completely
That's
gone.
Right. I heard that too. So I was like, okay, literally, like, it was fun to find out what moments I was like, oh, that was definitely Snyder, and then being like, oh, it's not in here.
Well, it's funny because seeing this, and this is going to be a controversial topic, and I want to talk about this towards the end of our review here.
Sure.
Everyone loves to be like, Snyder doesn't get superheroes. I actually think he gets them too well. Like, he treats them like they're gods. There's a scene where women are praising Aquaman and he's done nothing. Like,
yeah, he took his shirt off 3 times.
There's this, like, we have all these, like, just stoic poses, and we have all these, like, everyone, like, in the jokes. I felt the jokes overall for the whole movie flowed so much better. You could tell that Joss Whedon came in and just butchered this. It was literally WB going, Avengers made $1 billion. Why don't we have $1 billion?
Yeah, make our Avengers. These are the Avengers, right? And it's like, no, they're very different. And that's the thing. Like, everybody will pull your ear and make you listen to their, like, brilliant analysis about the fact that, like, the Avengers are people and the Justice League are gods, and it's like, okay, well, whatever.
And everyone likes to be like, I'm the smart guy that figured it out. I'm like, no, everyone.
Yeah,
that's like the same guy that makes the same joke to me every time we talk about Marvel's Avengers. The 7 people who are playing it are going to like it. Yes, I haven't heard that joke. Thank you. Wow, you're so clever. You're so clever.
Snappy. Yeah. The Avengers has one god on it, though. Like, between the gods, I'm just kind of, but my point is, Snyder really does lean into that. And he's like, look at this. Like, everybody gets this moment. We get a moment at the beginning. We get a moment at the end where we highlight every single hero. And he is like, he goes full 300 with the heroes, where he's like, they are heroes. Like, if he could have had a character with a cape, but it's tattered and it used to be their clothing, and he is screaming a story. Like, if there was a narrator to this movie, he would have done it. I'm shocked there isn't one where they're like, the League came forth and the Aquaman breached the sea. Like, because it is that kind of epic. And it's like,
it is. They treat every single superhero on that level.
Yeah.
And I will say,
you can't Avengers that. You can't Avengers that.
Oh yeah, but you can't Avengers that 100%. I agree, and I think that was because the biggest problem I had with Joss Whedon's cut was it was forgettable. We went to go see it, and literally within a week, I'm like, oh yeah, that was a thing I watched in the theaters like a week ago. It wasn't terrible, but it was such a hodgepodge that nothing stood out. Nope. But yeah, the first hour, slow, lots of people try to do hymns. The one that I felt was really unnecessary was the lowest one. It's like 2 minutes of her walking up the steps.
Oh my God. I feel bad because Lois is barely in this movie, and every scene she gets, she's sad that a man is dead, and I'm like, it's Lois Lane, right? Like, Lois Lane, ace reporter, needs nobody, like, hardcore, like, you haven't been to work since Superman died. Like, really? Really? I mean, like, I appreciate that she's sad and it happened recently. It wasn't like for me, Batman vs. Superman was like 10 years ago. For Lois, it was like 10 minutes ago. And I think in real time, it was like a week or 2 ago. So it's like, yeah, I get it. You just buried Clark.
We didn't note that because in Justice League, it kicks off with the fish joke. You talked the fish joke. Yeah. This one cut off like, nope, here's where we left off. Superman died. And we're gonna start right there.
Yep, with the sonar stream.
But right off the bat, this movie did a better job of linking and explaining the mother boxes because the death of the Kryptonian woke them up, which brought Steppenwolf. In that first hour where we had a whole bunch of weird things, I did like the introduction of Barry. I think that was in the first hour.
Yeah, totally.
Where he was doing the dog walking thing.
I thought that was maybe the second part, but yeah, it was...
Yeah, you're right. You know what? The origin. I think a lot of the origins came in the second part because the second part it kind of cleaned up and got better, in my opinion.
Yeah,
it's hard to gauge where this all happened in 4 hours. But so the first hour was slow, lots of slow motion. The Amazonian fight scene was in the first part. I looked into it. It was 11 minutes long in his version, and so much better.
Easily. No, I would love to watch his Wonder Woman movie. Like, I'd like to see another Wonder Woman movie by him, because it's just 300. Like, they're just the Spartans. They got they got the same armor, they got the helmet, they got the Ura, and it's like, but I want to see that. That's cool. Like, I like 300 too. So yeah.
I was reading an interview about it, and they said one of the biggest things you'll notice that were taken out of this for the Joss Whedon cut was the heart. And I'm like, oh, what are you saying? But it actually made sense when I saw the explanation behind the heart was taken out. All the ramifications of everything that happened were taken out. It was just beat by beat jumping to the next scene in the Joss Whedon cut. While in Zack Snyder, like the 11-minute sequence involves a minute-long sequence of Hippolyta grieving for the loss of everyone that went into the ocean.
Yeah.
And you're like,
that's true.
Yeah, you're like, oh, right. We just lost like 50 Amazons. And in the Joss Whedon cut, we made a joke and moved on.
Right. Yeah, no. She gets on the horse and she goes. And it's like, yeah, they still all died. But like, and I appreciate like some action sequences where like a leader is like, I will grieve for this later. And the audience doesn't have time to watch me be sad. We have to we got to cut this up and make it faster. But because we had the luxury of, it's at home, it's multiple parts, or it's in chapters. It doesn't. You have the time. You can dedicate the time to
show the character caring. Yeah,
show that. Yeah, exactly. That's fine. I had no complaints about any of the Amazonian stuff. I was like, that's cool.
Cool. I liked how much time was spent over there. I did like a lot of the song 2-minute sequences. I felt were completely unnecessary. But I will admit, like, when I'm prepping like a script or D&D, I do that sometimes. I'm like, oh, we're going to do like 2 minutes of music here. And my players in my D&D game, they're going to wait while I cycle through Spotify and I pull up this epic song for the fight.
Right. So I know what it's like to make my audience wait.
Yeah, exactly.
For music. That's fair. How'd you like Steppenwolf?
We'll have to talk about him for the entirety of the whole thing, but I liked this version a lot better. No, I'm saying we'll have to talk about his whole role, because his whole role was expanded. He had motivation. He had drive. The design still looked weird, but I did like it better. He didn't look like a Transformer. And when they took off the helmet, you're like, oh, he's wearing a Transformer suit. Okay.
Right. Yeah. He looks like Megatron, but purple. Like, did you notice that weird purple sheen that he had?
And that his armor moved on its own.
Yeah.
That was kind of weird.
Listen, it was a choice. I don't begrudge it, because who cares? Like, at the end of the day, no one's a Steppenwolf fan, so no one's gonna be upset.
I like that they gave him credit though. Like, oh, he's a reject. He was sent here because he got the signal from the mother boxes. He still couldn't even talk to Darkseid.
No,
like, he couldn't.
I like that too. Yeah,
the sand got in his way. I liked that. Yeah. I liked all of that. And since we're talking about the new gods, Darkseid, in the flashback, in the series.
Yep.
I liked him. I thought he was great, intimidating. He was obviously the big bad.
Yep. He was very cool looking. The helmet, there was something weird about like his headgear, because it was very comic accurate, and I was like, yes. I was like, the indented Omega symbol. I'm like, okay, well.
Yeah, I didn't like that. It looked like somebody literally indented him with the Omega symbol.
Right, and they're like, oh, you don't know the story behind it. I'm like, I know the story behind Darkseid. I know it ain't that. But like, whatever. But for whatever reason, I think it was just the whole CG thing in general. But like his helmet thing looked a little wonky. I don't know. It was comic accurate, and I appreciated that. Plus, seeing the Omega beams actually being used was really dope.
Yeah. You know what it was? I noticed that about his head too. The helmet looked small, but it was made small by the fact that the design choice they went with the eyes made them look beady. If you looked at the eyes, he had little flames in each of them. They weren't fully red. There was just like a little flame, almost like the Omega beams were prepped at all times.
Right.
But what that made was his eyes look a little beady unless you were really looking at them. So with his eyes looking a little beady, then his head looked a little squished down. I mean, it just looked a little wonky. I agree. And to me, that just sounded like not finished effects.
Yeah, that's fair. I wish that I don't know, he seemed a little thin. These are all nitpicks. Like, as far as Darkseid being the movie, I think the movie overall would have benefited from having Darkseid in it, so I'm glad he was.
Even though he didn't get to fight, the fact that he was just there made it so much better.
And we saw him fight in the flashback, so like you got to see him do stuff. It's just that, he doesn't really interact with the characters that we care about, which is too bad. I also felt like his voice was fine. It's what a guy who looks like that probably sounds like, but it would have been a great opportunity to stunt cast him and use like somebody with a really baller voice. Like, I don't want to compare it to an MCU movie because it's apples and oranges, but Surtur being voiced by Clancy Brown in Thor Ragnarok. It's like, why wouldn't you just use somebody like Clancy Brown? Like, yes! Because who cares? Because at the end of the day, Surtur was a plot device in that movie. So in this case, it's like you could pick literally anybody. Like,
Darkseid is just a plot device here. He's nothing else. He's literally the reason Steppenwolf came to Earth. That's the plot.
So you could have gotten like a really fun voice actor, somebody who you like recognize and go like, oh, that's a cool voice, like Michael Ironside, who played him in the cartoon show. I'm not saying just
or Christopher
Judge
would have been good. The guy that plays Kratos now.
Yes, that would have been great.
Yeah,
that would have been a fine voice for me. But like, it was a little generic. I feel like Darkseid, should be epic, and he was in this movie, and I liked like the implication of him when Diana goes into that deleted scene where she goes into the cave and she finds this mural of him and everything, and I'm like, that's cool. Like, this is cool. And I'm like, I understand the stakes now. But overall, I'm still waiting for Darkseid. Like, I want Darkseid doesn't jump out of an airplane and punch people. Like he sits back and he lets the Furies do that. He lets Granny Goodness do that.
Did you see her in the background?
I did see her in the background. I was like, wow, they really did that. They put Granny Goodness in there. That's cool. She was, I wanted to see more. I wanted to see it all. I was like, man,
can we go through that portal right now? Just go through.
Yeah, can we see the Furies? Can we see Big Barda? Like, what's happening, man? Like, this is dope. That was like that felt the most Justice League for me. It's the end, but that moment when like the boom tubes open and we see like the Apocalypse forces and the Justice League on the other side. And it's like we're ready for you. I'm like, oh, this is cool.
So let's go back to, I guess, chapter 2 though. But let's talk about the Flash and Victor's Cyborg at this point, because I think they get really introduced in number 2. I'm gonna say I was not a fan of Ezra Miller's Flash at all. Him being in Flashpoint, I'm like, nah, I don't care. This version, I loved him in this movie.
Yeah, he's less of a joke.
But he still cracks the jokes.
He's still fun. He's still genuinely fun. Yeah.
My favorite moment was in the battle inside of the underneath Gotham Harbor. I don't know if you remember this.
Yes.
In the original version, he's mostly out of the fight with the excuse of, I'm scared, I can't do anything.
Yeah, that was weird.
This time, he's not scared. He's running around, helping people, cracking jokes like, come on, speed it up. The whipping up and down, going back and forth.
That's great. Yeah. Flash is entirely better utilized in this. There is one element of Flash that I was like, I liked what they did in the Whedon cut, but this is an overall better Flash, and he does Flash things in this as opposed to the last one.
They mentioned the Speed Force, like, hey, my powers come from this thing, and you're like,
I think he mentions the Speed Force in the last one, but like he uses the damn thing in this movie.
He does. I like, dude, the moment that he was like, yeah, so I can go to the speed of light and I can change time, but things get wonky.
Moment, I was like, oh, that's new.
Yeah, I was like, wait, so we're just going to acknowledge he can alter time, and then he's going to do it slightly and then massively.
yeah, completely. That was very cool.
Dude, I guarantee the original plan was that was going to be the Flashpoint break. That was going to be, because if you looked at Zack Snyder's original plan, they were going to lose, and the nightmare future was going to be the future. Flashpoint was he's probably going to be, I got to go back to that. That was when I broke everything. Yep. Oh my God, it could have been so amazing. Like,
yeah. Well, it would have justified the nightmare vision, because that was a cool moment in BVS, and it was rendered kind of useless in this movie. Like, we don't really need it. They win. Like, who cares? Like, why do we still go there?
Yeah.
Like, for me, I'm like, okay.
Well, Darkseid's still on his way. That's where the whole thing goes. He's still on his way. And if you saw Cyborg's vision, remember Cyborg's vision that he got, where he literally said, don't do it, and they were going to come up with another plan. He saw that they were going to continually lose. And if I forget the full thing, but Zack Snyder came out and just said what he was originally planning for 2 and 3. They were supposed to lose. And then by 3, they were going to be in the nightmare vision, and then they were going to use time travel to correct everything.
Okay.
Which is what they always do. I mean, oh no, the Justice League lost. Flash, don't do it. Oh, but I gotta,
Yep. They literally did it in the Superman movie friggin' 40 years ago. Like,
they literally did it in Darkseid War in the cartoons. Like,
that's right.
like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Hey, we lost.
Go back. Yeah.
No, I loved the use of the Flash in this one, though. We got to see his powers. We got to see him running around. We got to see how it reenacts. Going in, and I loved how they I guess, expanded upon it. Like the scene where they revive Superman and he starts fighting the Justice League again.
Yep.
Flash runs in and we get the same joke,
Yeah.
Flash looks at him and he turns his head and Flash is like, what?
Oh. Yeah.
But then, like in the Joss Whedon version, he just knocks him aside.
Yeah.
Here he's dodging, he's whipping. We're like, Flash is still faster, but holy crap, is Superman keeping up? Like,
yeah, but I've never been kind of matched before, so like, yeah, that was cool. That was genuinely like. Ultimately, at the end of the day, when it comes to fight scenes, action sequences, CG, this is better.
I mean, all the fight sequences, longer, more engaging. I was enjoying them. I have a tendency to do something while we're watching movies, especially ones that I've already seen, like Justice League.
Sure.
But every fight sequence, I was like, and the switch goes down, because holy crap, everyone's going awesome.
Yeah, cool things are happening. Even like the, because I didn't really care for the Bat Crab, but it was used well here. There are a couple of things where I'm like,
this is
basically the same movie. Yeah, I know, but it's not a Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler is a worm. This is a crab.
Yeah, but Bat Crab isn't cool.
No, it's not. That is a terrible name. Don't make it like a crab. If you want to call it Nightcrawler, either there has to be a worm or it has to be a 3-handed blue devil. Those are your options. But
no, the fight sequences are better. I do like how the story overall flowed better. I liked the story behind the Flash.
Yes. The Iris scene was cool.
I know everyone's freaking out because of the Ray Fisher thing and like, Ray, you won and got your scenes. I actually don't like his Cyborg. I like that Cyborg got a lot more. I like the guy that plays him in the Titan show so much better. I feel that he gets Cyborg so much more.
My wife said the exact same thing. Literally, Tiffany was like, I like Doom Patrol Cyborg.
Yeah. Doom Patrol, that's right. He moved over to Doom Patrol, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, he started there. But like, she's like, I prefer Doom Patrol Cyborg. Like, Ray Fisher does a nice enough job. He doesn't look the age I think he's supposed to be, which was like...
He looks older. That's the first problem.
He looks a little older. No complaint, really. That's just an observation. But like, ultimately... Does Cyborg have an arc? Yes. Does he have
Which is a good arc. I like the arc. I do like the family. We got to see his family and everything.
I know. Great. That was all good. All good stuff. Like all genuinely like good motivation. It's just like at the end of the day, I don't really care for his portrayal. Like it just I don't really like it.
To me, Cyborg has always been a character that has a lot of internal emotion and problems from his dad and his family being abandoned, his father not being there for him, basically, and stuff like that. But it's all internal. Every portrayal we've seen of Cyborg, his outgoing face is like, booyah! You know what I mean? Like, that's Cyborg. And then when you get to know Cyborg, you're like, oh, yeah, no, he's got a lot of problems with his dad. His mom passed away when he was a kid. But the outward going face of Cyborg has always been booyah! You know, like, I don't like being a half cyborg, and that's my biggest arc. You don't really find out all the other stuff until much later. In this one, I just felt like Ray Fisher was like, I'm just sad about everything. And that doesn't feel like Cyborg to me.
And it could be, we could blame Snyder on that one. Like, maybe he was just like, you're sad. You're never happy. None of this is cool.
Maybe the original plan was the Cyborg we know and love was going to come out of his shell in his movie. Because remember, he was going to get a movie. Yeah,
there was going to be a Cyborg movie. That was a plan, and there is no plan for that anymore. He ain't even going to be in the Flash movie. But
I actually looked at the exact technical reason that happened. I don't know if you've looked at the reason why he was fired. So, for those who don't know, there was a whole thing where Ray Fisher said that Joss Whedon was inappropriate, unprofessional, yada, yada, yada. Joss Whedon's campus never responded to it. WB did an investigation and said that they didn't find anything drastically wrong. And my opinions on that whole personal thing in general aside... When that was over and it was done and he got the investigation, he decided to then try to get the president of WB fired.
Yeah.
Which already seems to me like a bad career move when you've already had the investigators. But his goal was to try and get more attention on this and try to get it reinvestigated. Okay, I get that. But then he made a statement that said, I will never work on a production that the president of WB is a part of.
Right.
And so I was reading an article about this whole thing, getting caught up on the whole situation. And the article reached out to WB for their statement. And their statement was, everything is fine until he said that. Since the president is going to be a part of everything, we figured we'll just end this here.
I mean, right? Like, it's like saying, I'm never going to work with you again. It's like, well, then you're fired. And it's like, what do you mean? It's like, well, because I'm the boss and I work here.
Exactly.
Like, you don't want to work with... You know, I mean, like, yeah.
I mean, we won't go into that whole thing. I feel like that's if we did want to talk about that, that'd be a whole video unto itself, and we're already 34 minutes into our 4-hour movie review,
which seems pretty on brand for this movie. But yeah,
but that's why apparently he's officially fired. But at the time of this Zack Snyder, there was a Cyborg movie coming out. I'm curious if the plan was to kind of turn him more into the Cyborg we know, almost like when Wonder Woman first showed up. It was kind of like, well, she's cool, but who is she? And we got the Wonder Woman that we know in her movie.
Yes.
So,
which is not a bad formula. Like I appreciate that, but I'm not a big fan of Ray Fisher's portrayal, but I appreciated the story that they told using him.
I mean, they told his story. We've never seen Cyborg's story even done in the animated universe properly.
No, not really.
I think the closest we ever got was the Teen Titans cartoon show.
I honestly think that was better. I honestly think that's a better Cyborg, better journey, and a better depiction of the character than so far any other version.
Right. My current favorite Cyborg right now is just I like the Doom Patrol guy. Because he has that outward going booyah attitude. Let's go have some fun. I'm a tough guy. I'll take control. But then we find out all this under the skin emotion. And that's what I like about the character Cyborg. It's not in your face. I used to be not a fan of Spider-Man because early Spider-Man, late 90s, early 2000s, he just cried about everything. Like, I'm Spider-Man, but oh my God, everyone hates me. Like,
yeah. You never lean into that. You know, he feels that way, but like he's fun. So
exactly.
Let's have fun with the character.
But that was great.
That was new. Yeah.
What did you think about the change in the arc for his dad? Because his dad dies in this one.
Yeah.
To give them the power they needed.
It's lazy casting because you just hired the guy who played Miles Dyson to run like your lab. Like he's in all kinds of movies where he plays like
he's always the scientist. Yeah.
And it's like he's good. And you know what? Like that's I like to call that like shorthand. It's like hiring Michael Ironsides to play the bad guy. It's like you don't need him to have like a wife or a family. You don't need to see a scene where he like you look at him and you're like, oh, okay, he's the bad guy. Got it. And you look at like you look at Cyborg's dad and you're like, I get everything about this guy. Like I just looked at him and I know exactly what you're talking about. But regardless of that, they still introduced him as a character and he still has his own arc. He still has his own motivations. Everything about Cyborg and his father are great. Excellently portrayed, nice stuff. I don't know anybody who still uses a tape recorder anymore, but
but you know what? His dad struck me as the kind of guy that would.
Would he? He works for Star Labs. They have spaceships, and he's using an analog tape recorder. Whatever, it's fine. It's so that Cyborg could fix it. I get it, but like. Yeah, I love his death. I love that it wasn't just him doing that thing where it's like, this is the part where I have to die. Like so many older characters do in these kinds of movies. This is the part where I have to die.
Kent?
No time.
No.
Yeah. Let me jump in this tornado. Goodbye. Like, no. This guy was like, I gotta send a message, and I gotta do this thing with this with the hotbox. Boom. Like, cool. That actually worked out really well. And I like that everybody else in the league was like, dude's dad just died. Let's all chill out. I think everyone here's dad is dead except for Wonder Woman. And it's like, no, Aquaman's like, no, my dad's still around. Oh, okay, cool. And fair. But that movie, actually, this whole movie's all about dads. Because we've got Barry's dad. Aquaman decides to see his dad at the end of this movie. Cyborg's dad dies. Bruce Wayne's dad is dead. Superman's dad is dead. His space dad is dead. Wonder Woman's dad is Zeus. Like, there's just nonstop dad issues in this movie. It's pretty fun. But,
so
whatever.
Okay, so the Cyborg arc we liked the Flash arc. Ezra Miller won me over actually as a fan of his Flash with this. Ray Fisher actually made me dislike his Cyborg.
It turns out more of him actually made it worse, but which is too bad because actually his story was worth telling and
the story was great. I loved it. I loved his family. Just him. I didn't like his portrayal, but that's another discussion. Anyway, what did you think about the two characters that popped up midway through? Ryan Cho?
Yes.
And
that was cool.
Manhunter.
I'm like, wow, you went with that, Adam? Okay, that's cool. He's good.
His was a fun, like, Easter egg nod. Like, oh, it's the Atom, and we're not going to do much with it. Martian Manhunter, though, was like, no, it's the Martian Manhunter. And I'm just like...
My name is Martian Manhunter.
Why?
Right. I liked that he was in it. I like the actor who plays him. I like that, like, it was tied in. I also like how it explains why Martha is in Metropolis to talk to Lois, but also is in Kansas to be with her son when he comes back to life.
Yeah.
It's like, she wasn't in Metropolis. It was Martian Manhunter. Like,
Which
that's
makes
kind of
total
cool.
sense, because Martha just randomly going to that Metropolis was kind of wonky to begin with. It was like, okay, that's a total plot device.
Right. I'm going to Metropolis. I want to say hi to Lois. I'm going to get back on a plane. I'm going to fly all the way back to Kansas. Like, no, you're staying there. Like, that was fun. I don't like. Okay, it was very comic book accurate. The design for Martian Manhunter, like his costume.
Yeah.
I think you could have taken some liberties. Like, at this point, you don't need him to have like the big red X thing and the big yellow discs and stuff. Like, you didn't need to go full Martian Manhunter with him. Like, you could have taken some liberties. I'm a fan of like Justice League Unlimited or Justice League the cartoon show genre, where it's like your true form is you're a naked space alien. You know, if you want to give him a cape, cool. You want to give him a suit, like the suit's fine. It's just like, and I know that it wasn't done. It's a new effect. It probably cost like $1 million to render. So like, you know, the fact that you even put him in the movie is cool. I just feel like, seeing it on screen, I'm like, you know, if this movie were done, like if you had the full movie your whole time, you may have gone through some redesigns on that costume.
It was a bit weird, even when we got to see him at the little end credits, which we'll talk about as the epilogue thing. It was a bit weird to just see that, like, the way he looked. I actually found his head to be a bit weird. Like, something about the head just was wonky.
It looked like a hodgepodge, because sometimes you see him and he has like a longer head when he's like a true Martian. And I think they wanted to kind of blend those two ideas together, which again, like, I liked actually the face and the head. Like, I didn't really mind the idea. There were two things I had a problem with, and they're the most comic book accurate. When he said at the epilogue, where he's like, I'm the Martian Manhunter, I'm like, I think it might be time to Shazam Martian Manhunter. Where it's like, we don't need to call. You can't be a superhero and be called Martian Manhunter. like when Batman's like, yeah, that's what they call you. You may want to workshop that, because like, it's not exactly conveying a friendly sense of like, I'm going to help you. It really sounds more like you may want to call yourself something like a Martian human murderer or something. I feel just a little more on the nose, because like, what is that? Like, but again, you know, it's just kind of like, it was cool they did it, and I'm glad it happened. Then it made me go like, it would never have worked in a like theatrical release movie. It works totally in this direct to video on demand thing.
Well, that's something I want to talk about. I mean, the fact that this did go direct is actually really good, because he got to get away with a lot of things that Martian Manhunter would have easily, like, to make this 4-hour movie into a 2-hour movie. First, the epilogue would have been gone. All the slow motion scenes would have been played properly. He wouldn't have had any of the 2-minute music sequences, and all the little like Ryan Cho, Martian Manhunter cut for time. Like, they would have been in the deleted director's cut, directed DVD thing. Like, so they would have been in.
Totally. Yeah. No, you got a lot more, and I think that some of those little moments are valuable, and they really work. Like, you get a chance to breathe, which is cool.
Yeah.
So yeah. What about what's part 3 again?
I think at that point is when they all kind of team up and they revive Superman.
Oh, okay.
Which was moved, wasn't it?
Yeah, I feel like it was. Yeah.
Because that was when we saw the potential future, and we saw what Zack Snyder's plan was. He wanted to go in that direction with the failure. Mm-hmm. And Barry did the run through. We saw the beginning of Barry going through time.
Yep. That was cool. That was always great.
I feel like that was also in Joss Whedon, the orb going back up a little.
Yeah. Oh, I don't remember. I remember it, like, if it was, I don't think it was played up nearly as much as it was in this one. Because like when the picture comes out of the water and when the cube comes out of the water, I was like, oh, we're going back in time. Like, oh, this is cool. Like, we're really. It immediately calls back to him saying, when I hit the speed of light, time gets wonky, and you're like, they're doing it, like they're paying attention to that.
Yeah.
And then
it wasn't just a passing comment that'll pay off in another movie. It was like, no, when I go this fast, I can reverse time. Like,
right. Yeah, exactly. I was surprised by so many things that happened that were in the Whedon cut, like dropping a cube in some water and it brings Superman back to life, and it needs to be like zapped by Barry at a specific time. Like, I don't know. I felt like a lot of people were complaining about how lazy that was, and now it's just like, no, that was in the movie. Like, that was the way they brought him back.
That was the way. But I also feel like it paid off really well in this version because the mother boxes were explained. Like, we understood them, while the Joss Whedon cut was like, the boxes, they're MacGuffins. Like, and in Zack Snyder, they're still MacGuffins, but like, we understand why now. Like, what exactly they're capable of doing.
It's the same movie. It's just, it makes more sense. Like, the movie is it's about unity.
Yeah.
If you put the boxes together, the world ends. If you put the Justice League together, the world is saved. They got to go find the boxes. Honestly, I think the box discovery scenes are all way better than they were the last time around.
Well, they made more sense. He didn't just magically know where they all were. He was looking. Like, this whole sequence of Steppenwolf was just stabbing Atlanteans. Like, hello, has anyone seen the box?
Well, and yes, we did get a couple of repetitive moments where it's like, let me guess what happens here. Steppenwolf calls Darkseid. He's not allowed to talk to him. They ask him where the boxes are. He's looking for more of them, and then they hang up on him. Like, that happens 3 different times in this movie.
You have reached the offices of Darkseid, and he is unavailable right now. Please leave your message at the tone.
Please make sure in your message you say you found all the boxes. And the anti-life equation angle where he's like, I found that, and Darkseid's like, oh, give me the phone. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
I liked that because it gave more reason for Darkseid to come here. Because like in the Joss Whedon version, we removed the Darkseid from the equation, so Steppenwolf just randomly shows up for these 3 boxes that are all MacGuffins with no real rhyme or reason, and then is defeated and kicked out, and that's the end of that. Like here, it's like he was looking for the boxes. He found the anti-life equation, and now Darkseid's like, yo, what planet are you on?
Yeah, and the way they just... I don't want to skip around too much.
No, go ahead, skip around. I feel like we already have for the most part.
Yeah, Steppenwolf's dispatching, his exit from this movie, way better.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's go ahead and go to the big fight sequence at the ending, because I think we can agree at this point, up until the fight sequence. The fight sequence kicks off at 3 hours in the movie. There's an hour left.
There's another hour. Well, and really, I think the bulk of that is like, there's another mini movie at the end of this movie.
Yeah. First off, I want to say I loved, because I noticed this right off the bat, each member of the Justice League had a very key use in this final fight. There was no like, oh, Barry's just running people out of the city. First off, we got rid of the random Russian people that decided to stay next to the nuclear facility.
So obviously that was Whedon. So I'm so glad that was cut.
Like him and Superman racing to get people out. Like I
do like that. Like I like that moment where Flash is like, I got these people, and Superman's like, and I got this building. He's like, okay. But that's something that would happen.
They sped up the Flash so much. Like in the Whedon version, you were
it's all cut.
Well, you were left with the question of, why is the Flash even here? Superman's as fast as him, and it was like you didn't make it like they made Flash so quick. That was like, it was amazing, and I liked that. I liked the Flash had to charge it up to go for Cyborg, and then the 3 heavy hitters were fighting, and Batman's like, let me die. I'm Batman is what I do for everything.
Yeah, right? It all really worked. I also really enjoyed watching Arthur and Diana fight Steppenwolf together.
Yeah.
Because they set that up where they're like, our people were at war forever. Like, we're the first time that an Atlantean and a Themyscirian have talked to each other for like 2,000 years. Like, that's kind of cool. And Aquaman's like, I have no reason not to talk to you. And also, you're totally smoking. I did miss that moment. And I know, like, and that's really what it is. Anything that I liked about the Whedon cut was just little moments, little like scenes that are just YouTube clips, right?
Yeah.
Like watching Aquaman accidentally get his foot caught on the lasso and then being like, whoa, you're gorgeous. Like, it's just a lot of really fun stuff in there. And I'm like, we didn't need it, and we didn't lose anything in this cut because instead we have a story progression.
Yeah.
And these characters behave like they would in the story I'm watching, which is arguably more important.
I mean, we still got some of the goofy lines like that, though. Like when Cyborg and Flash are digging up the body. It is. So what do you think about Wonder Woman? Think she'll go for a younger guy?
They're all younger guys. Good stuff. Yeah. I was like, that's funny.
It was good lines. I liked the jokes. And you're right. A lot of the Whedon stuff is just YouTube clips. Like, I don't think some of his jokes were terrible, but they just didn't flow in this movie. It's like they should have just let Zack Snyder finish, and then Joss Whedon comes in to film some jokes that are going to go in the promo material.
Right? Well, or just let him make this movie and then have Joss Whedon come in and make the second movie.
Yeah.
You know, just completely heel turn it. Yeah, pull a Star Wars. It doesn't matter how bad they are; they'll still make $1 billion.
Yeah. So the final battle I loved. I loved how everyone had a role. Aquaman and Wonder Woman bouncing him back and forth. Superman, my favorite, dude. This felt like Superman, which is so funny because like he shows up in the black suit. Everyone's like Zack Snyder doesn't get Superman, and he literally shows up and just like bong. I expected more.
That was pretty cool.
I was like, that is Superman right there.
And he looked good. Like it looked good. The bad CG is all gone. Him fighting Steppenwolf, it's like he justifies coming back.
Yeah. There's a whole sequence. We also got the Alfred scene finally. He said you'd be here. And I was like, that's the scene we all thought was Green Lantern.
Yeah, that's the scene. We also, it's funny, there are a couple moments where I was like, what? Like, apropos of Alfred, don't the team meet Alfred already? And then we get another scene where the team arrives, I think at like, not Wayne Manor, but the Wayne compound. And he's like, this is Alfred? And I'm like, yeah, they know, man. They met him like 2 hours ago.
Well, he was on the Nightcrawler comms.
Right, but weren't they also at a base?
But I don't think Alfred was at that base because they were amazed when they got to the Batcave.
Okay, I thought, because I was like, yeah, the base is just the Batcave. Like, they're all the same base. I mean, they all look the same. It's just a bunch of dark rooms.
I think they first had the hangar, and then they went to the Batcave, and that's where they met Alfred. The hangar had the Nightcrawler in it.
Yeah.
And they made that whole thing of, like, Cyborg is going to fix the ship, which I don't remember at all of the original version.
No, that was out.
Yeah.
That just didn't happen. I did like, there's a great moment. It's just a very Batman Alfred line where he says, this is Alfred, I work for him, or something like that. I just really like that. It was I'm like, yeah, that's Alfred. Alfred's great. Everything that they left in. I still see J. Jonah Jameson when I look at Gordon, but I loved GCPD. That was in the original cut too, but like GCPD was great.
Yep.
You could tell like Whedon's just like, I want to make a Batman movie. And I'm like, I don't blame you, man. It looks like a good movie. It looks like a fun movie. It's pretty dark. It's got a lot of cool stuff in it. Although there's like a cadet or something that's talking to Gordon, and he's like, I'll ask him, how are you going to get in touch with him? He's been Batman for 20 years, right? What do you mean, how am I going to get in touch with him? I've been getting in touch with him for literally 20 years. You were 5 years old when I started getting in touch with him.
Yeah.
I'll just go use the thing on the top of the roof. Like, come on.
It's a big symbol. Stuff. It has a bat on it. Even the Flash noticed it.
Even the Flash knows what it is. Cool stuff, yeah.
I do, but I loved the final fight. I thought it was beautiful.
Yeah.
I loved how at the end of the whole thing they lost, but they called back to the Barry thing. Yeah. He's like, you got to go faster. You got to go faster than you ever have. I also like that he was hurt, and they're like, Barry, you got to go now. And he goes, yeah, one sec, I got to heal.
Yeah, that moment was really cool because it shows like he's a hero. He's like hurt. He doesn't say I'm hurt. He says like I got the wind knocked out of me. It's like you have a hole in your body, man. Like that's a real like self-sacrificing moment. I was like, that's really cool. Like good job.
They all felt like I hate like gods among men. Like that's what I liked about the Snyder version of this. So okay, we loved it. We loved how it ended. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. I guess the epilogue, which if you look into it, the epilogue's purpose was to show all the stuff he wanted to do.
Right.
So right off the bat, the Deathstroke getting Batman's name, I'm like, where's that movie?
That completely different. We get a completely different line.
Yeah.
Originally, Luthor's like, oh, we're going to make a league. And I'm like, okay. But this one, it's like, no, I'm going to tell you who he is, and you're going to go get him. And Batman took your eye.
Yeah. Batman took his eye. He's Bruce Wayne. And Deathstroke's like, okay, I'll go. And I'm just like, can we somehow still get that? Can we somehow get that?
I don't think we're getting that movie. I think we were going to get that movie. I think that was setting up the Batman movie, right?
The original, because originally it was going to be Ben Affleck moving on to his own Batman movie following this. Right. So it makes total sense that this would have been that Batman movie.
That would be cool.
The Nightmare stuff was really cool. I wish we'd gotten that. I don't know what. I didn't like the Joker stuff though.
No,
I thought he looked good, but it was just kind of like, what are you two doing? Like
the Joker stuff, obviously it was very anticipated. Everybody was excited. That was clearly something they shot like for the Snyder
Everything in the epilogue that you didn't recognize was shot freshly, and you can tell because Ben Affleck when he meets with the Martian Manhunter is not the same size Batman. He's like
he is thin. He's like,
all right, I've lost all
that. Yeah, I just got out of rehab and I'm ready to shoot this Batman scene. Like no. The Joker was rough. I don't like Jared Leto's Joker. I know that we saw Jared Leto's Joker in David Ayer's movie, which similarly is not David Ayer's movie, right? So we didn't even get his version of the Joker. I don't think I would have liked any version of the Joker that would have been portrayed by Jared Leto, but we got this one, which I think people were really excited about. Thought it was a little rough, and I don't like his laugh. And Batman dropping the F-bomb, again, not necessary. It wasn't like there were a couple of F-bombs that were dropped in this whole movie, and I was like, yep, like, mm-hmm.
That's Zack Snyder. He wants to make it an R-rated movie.
Right, and they didn't seem completely out of place. The one where Batman says it did seem out of place, but only because it felt so sophomoric. Like him saying, like, I'm gonna kill you. I'm like, well, does Batman really need to say that at this point? Like, come on. Like, we all know he's going to one day, but like, especially one who has like friggin' machine guns on his car. But like, do we really need him to say, I'm gonna effing kill you, man? I'm like, the world's ending, like, and it just seemed like a scene. It felt like a scene that Zack Snyder just wrote because he's like, oh, this is gonna be cool. Look, like it's Batman and Joker interacting, and I think he said that in an interview.
Yeah,
like,
I think he said like literally he just
this.
wanted Batman and Joker interacting. He wanted to get because Ben Affleck's Batman and Jared Leto's Joker never got to talk. He wanted to make that scene because we all know everything's been canceled at this point. Like it's just
we're never getting that.
Yeah.
We're getting Aquaman 2. We're getting Wonder Woman 3. Maybe, I don't know. Probably not. Who knows? We're getting that Flash movie.
Still,
that's kind of it. Who knows? Shazam, is he in or is he out? Who knows? We know we were getting a Shazam too, but is that in this universe?
No one even knows anymore.
Nobody knows.
I liked the Deathstroke Mohawk. That was interesting. Like him and Batman are buddies in that future. So whatever happened.
Right. We had our fight. We had our movie, and now we're bros. Also, look, it's Flash's suit, the suit he wore in Batman vs Superman,
which all makes sense. And they talk about how he let Lois die, so it links that back together. Yeah. I felt like the epilogue stuff was to show what he wanted to do while closing a few of the more obvious plot holes he had created with the intention of doing Justice League 2, 3.
Totally. Yeah. I don't blame him for that. It's just like, for me, it felt like you didn't even need it. If you wanted to tell your story of like the Justice League, and it obviously ends on a cliffhanger, like Darkseid's coming, the portal was opened, they didn't fight him, it's like, yeah, you were going to set it up, but you didn't need like to remind. We saw the nightmare version of the future, and I thought like because they lose that it was happening, like when they lose against the cubes that it happened, but no, it's later because it has to be. Well,
I mean, like, they literally said that the future is set. I caught that line when they charged it and called on Steppenwolf. And I think what they were going to go for, the way he was planning it out, was no, the future is set. We are now going down that nightmare future because Darkseid knows where you are. I think and this is speculation out the wazoo, but I think the plan was, yes, we were going to go down that route. We were going to get the Nightmare Universe, but then Flash was going to go back and prevent, and they either find another way to revive Superman or whatever, but they were going to prevent Steppenwolf from learning where that cube was, which would then prevent Darkseid from learning the location.
Right.
Because that's what it all comes down to. They gave Darkseid the location. They think they've won, and I think that's what he wanted to go for. They think they beat the big bad, but that wasn't the big bad.
No. And that would have been very interesting. It would have been a very, like, cool, copacetic way to do, like, I'm going to make 3 Justice League movies. The first one, they set it up, and it's, like, the kind of stuff you know. The second one, Darkseid comes, the world falls, Superman becomes a bootlicker for Darkseid. And then the third one, it's the nightmare future, and we send Barry back in time, and we reset the timeline so that my version's done, all the actors can say goodbye, and they can reboot it and start over again if they want to. And it's like, that's kind of a cool idea. Like, if that was the plan. I don't know if that's necessarily what they were going to do, but it feels like that's kind of where they were going with it. And it's like, that's kind of a really cool way to do your superhero franchise, is to go, part of the intrinsic, like, connectivity of our universe is reboots and stuff. So we're going to set that up. Yeah. With our character who literally is the catalyst for reboots. And it's like, that's a cool idea.
Last thing I do want to talk about, we didn't talk much about the actual battle with Darkseid, the Green Lantern, all the humans, like we saw, like the Asian
we saw the world of
clans
men.
yeah, it was like the world of men, but it was like all the human races. We had like basically all the different races in the world were actually there.
Yep.
We had the Amazons, that whole battle sequence was better. I just wanted to throw that out there real quick.
Yep, easily.
I liked the
saw the
use of the
gods.
Green Lantern real quick, just to be like, yeah, they're here.
He was in the last one, but I don't think we got. You
didn't even see him. He was in the background.
didn't
Just a
see
green guy flew up, battled, and then got knocked back.
I thought he died in the last one and his ring flew around, but I still love that moment where he dies, the ring flies around. In this one, it goes up to Darkseid, and it's like, oh no, and it just leaves.
I like Darkseid reaching for it. Like, oh, wait,
he's like, "Give
okay,
me."
yeah, I'll take this.
I'll take a Green Lantern ring, and the ring's like, oh no, you know. It was cool to see the gods. What was it? I think Ben mentioned he thought that the guy who played Ares, because Ares is in there, and I think he's the guy who messes up Darkseid.
Yeah, he is. He's the one that takes him out.
Is that the same guy? Is that the same Ares as the one from the Wonder Woman movie, or is it like another guy? Because it could have been cool if it's like, oh man, for no reason we cast the guy who played Ares in the last movie to be that guy. I mean, obviously it's the same Ares in terms of story, so either way it worked, and it was fun to see Zeus and Ares like shooting lightning and swinging axes and stuff. It's like, yeah. That was cool.
I'm looking. In Jenkins' movie, Ares' arc is rushed as Sir Patrick Morgan, an aristocrat who the god of war was secretly masquerading as. Sadly, his motivations felt bland. He turned into the giant form. Snyder makes up for this. No, it's supposed to be classic Ares. Before he took the form of Sir Patrick Morgan.
Okay, that's cool. Oh, look at that. Nick McKinless confirms I did play Ares in the Snyder Cut.
Nick McKinless?
Nick McKinless, who's like an actor.
Oh, yeah.
I was not credited for my work. We shot a whole fight sequence, blah, blah, blah.
Huh.
Cool. There you go.
Oh, they're there. There's the gods that were in there. They are ripped.
Yeah, they well, you're a god. It's like there's no skipping leg day when it comes to being a god.
I don't know. I guess the girl that was doing the arrows, I guess she's supposed to be one of the gods too. But they got the most ripped bodybuilders ever to play those three gods.
Why not? They don't have to say anything. They just look pretty and kick ass.
That's true.
Can do.
That's true. But we never had Zeus. We never had Ares. Who was she supposed to be?
It was a Demeter. I don't know.
Demeter. That's what I was thinking. But like, that's not a popular god that you would normally have placed in something like this.
No, Demeter was the harvest god. So I don't know.
Anyway, we're way over time. This was going to be a 10-minute discussion. I don't know why we thought that would fly.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I hope you guys enjoyed our opinions on it. Overall, Sal, as I said in my tweet, what this actually does for me is makes me sad with what we lost. Because we know, and this, like everybody, the people that have a ton of hope, you guys can have all the hope you want. I have no hope this is good. No, like he barely got $70 million to finish this. I don't see this doing so well that HBO is like, okay, not only are we going to give you $300 million to do part 2 and 3 each, so $600 million. Also, we also got Ben Affleck back. We got like Henry Cavill back for you. Like, even if he somehow got them to approve his sequels for HBO Max exclusives, we're just not going to get the actors unless he can somehow convince Ben Affleck to stop going to rehab.
Right. Oh no, go to rehab and stay there, and then come out and not drink anymore. But here's the thing: Ray Fisher ain't gonna be Cyborg.
Oh, I mean he's literally fired. So
yeah.
But yeah, you know what? We got the Doom Patrol guy. We'll just get him in there.
That might be fun. I mean, yeah. At the end of the day, I'm. Like it only exists because AT&T needed people to sign up for the streaming service. We'll see what the numbers are like in a couple of days, right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, we signed up for it and I'm out, like, because that's it. Although Godzilla versus Kong is coming out on that thing too, so you might as well.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing a movie a month now is the thing with HBO Max. So I'm excited. I like movies. I mean,
Mortal Kombat.
I like to say I'm on the line of being a cinephile because I don't analyze them like a lot of people do. I just enjoy movies. I'm a guy that likes the Transformer movies. Thanks, Sal. The good reaction. I'm
not gonna ever. I can't go on record saying that. I did like Bumblebee.
I like them as popcorn flicks. Like I go in, enjoy it all, and just walk away. Yep. I definitely never gonna sit here and be like, Michael Bay's Transformers are the most incredible pieces of cinema. What's that? The incredible pieces of cinema in the universe. They beat Lord of the Rings.
No. They barely qualify as being in English.
I mean, honestly, you could just remove all the actors in it and just have more robots fighting. I'd be on board.
That would have fixed it. That would have made it a lot better.
If you guys enjoyed these long-form discussions about movies, let us know in the comments down below other movies you want me and Sal to watch. And we are absolutely Marvel and DC. I'm known as Benny. That guy is known as Sal. And we'll be here real soon with another video talking about Falcon and Winter Soldier. But we're here every week talking about stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching today, and we'll see you next time right here.